Salvete, we're going from 520 to 526. The Trojans that have been separated from Aeneas and his ships have now entered the temple of Juno to ask favor from Dido, and Aeneas and Achates are in their hollow cloud watching the whole thing going on. They're not sure what to do yet. And in this section, Ilioneus, one of the Trojans, begins his speech to Dido to explain who they are and beg favor from the queen. So let's go ahead and read. Post quin trogresset coram data copia fandi, Maximus Ilioneus placidos sic pectore coipit. O regina, noam cui condere Jupiter urbem, justitiaque dedit gentes frenare superbas. Troes te miseri, ventis Marii omnia vecti, oramus, prohibi infandos a navibus ignes, parce pio generet propius res aspice nostras. So after they entered introgressi, you need to put a sunt with that. And this is the verb along with the implied sunt. And the they is the Trojans. So you got to add the subject in here. After they entered, and data sunt, and they, well, let's see, data est, and it was given to them, okay? What was given to them? A copia fandi, an opportunity of speaking. And fandi is a genitive, let me get my pen here, genitive, opportunity of speaking. It describes what kind of opportunity it was. And it is a gerund, meaning it comes from the verb for fari, has that in there, and we translate that as ing. It's basically the way that you make a verb into a noun. So the verb to speak, fandi of speaking. And coram, face to face. So let's do this one more time. Afterwards, they entered and were given an opportunity of speaking face to face with the queen. And one note on introgressi sunt, it comes from introgradior. It is a deponent, so it's passive in form. This is a perfect passive, but it's active in meaning. Maximus Ilioneus placido sic pectore coipit. Greatest, adjective, Ilioneus, goes together. Coipit, began, and it means to speak. You got to put in loqui or dicere. Sic, in such a way, placido pectore. And how did he do it? He did it placido pectore. You could say from his calm heart, or with his calm heart. This is an ablative, so by, with, or from, all would be okay. So one more time. Great Ilioneus so began with his calm heart. Literally chest, but it means his heart. And I noticed Farr has a little note on the scansion of Ilioneus. We would normally say it Ilioneus, but Vergil wants you to take that E and the U together as one syllable, as a diphthong. Ilioneus placido. Maximus Ilioneus placido sic pectore coipit. Here begins his speech. O regina, right? O queen. This is a vocative, because he's addressing her. Let's make a little note. Vocative. And remember, vocative is always the same form as the nominative, except in the case of second declensions, which end in us, like Marcus, you would say Marque, changes to E. And ius, like Salvius, you would say Salvi, end in I. Otherwise, vocative is always just like nominative. O queen, cui, this is a dative, to whom, and this is signaling a relative clause here, to whom. Jupiter is a subject, Jupiter, he's a subject of this clause, has given, where is has given, dated, to found, and this is a complementary infinitive with this, they go together, to found an urbem novum, a new city, and those two go together. And to whom Jupiter has given, okay, take this all together again, to frenare, to check or to bridle the proud races, probably meaning this Carthaginian race. Remember, they were proud in war. I think they superbia belli, I think we had that expression before. These proud or haughty races. They have a lot of attitude, I guess. This is accusative, and this is the verb that also goes with dated. So that verb goes, it's complementary infinitive, and that goes to dated. Dated. So one more time. O queen, to whom Jupiter has given, main verb, to found a new city, and to bridle or restrain the proud nations, meaning, I guess, this is probably poetic use of the plural here, justitia, with justice. This is the ablative, with justice, first declension, with justice. I suppose he could be also talking about the nations around Dido, her neighbors, but she mainly exercises justice among her own people. Troes te miseri. So that, and just that whole thing right here, this was kind of its own clause here with this, let's back it up to here. And the subject of that clause was Jupiter, and the cui was kind of like a relative clause started by the cui, just not at the beginning of it like we would expect in prose. Troes te miseri, ventis mari omnia vecti, oramus, prohibi infandos a navibus ignis, parce pio generet propius res aspice nostras. Now the subject of this part of the sentence is going to be oramus, well that's the verb, but you see this mus, it's going to be we, because this mus is the first person plural. We troes miseri. So it's nos implied, we troes, these are our subjects, miseri, we miserable Trojans, oramus, beg, you, te, that's the accusative, the direct object, we miserable Trojans beg you. And there's this little phrase is an apposition to the Trojans, so let's just bracket that off. We miserable Trojans, let's start again. We miserable Trojans, vecti, carried by the winds, this is a ablative, by the winds, and then you got to put in a pair, because it's missing the conjunction, the preposition, on the whole sea, on all the seas, this is plural, on all the seas. We've seen this kind of phrase used before, mari omnia circum, I believe. This is mari omnia vecti. So let's do that again. We miserable Trojans, we miserable Trojans, comma, carried by the winds along all the seas. It's a little hyperbolic, probably. We beg you. Okay, and what do we beg you? And this is what they beg. All these three commands here. Prohibe, this is the imperative, very strong strong command here. Prevent or stop, prohibit. The infandos ignes, the unspeakable fires, the terrible fires. A navibus, from our boats. It's ablative, from our boats with the preposition a. And we see this word infandos. We had the word fondi up here, of opportunity of speaking. This is infando, so it's unspeakable. And it means this is unspeakable before the gods as well as men. Moving along, parque pio generi. Another command, imperative. Parque, spare. Spare our pio generi. Now this is in the dative because this verb spare, parque, takes the dative. It's literally be sparing to. Okay? Be sparing to our pio generi, our pious race. Remember Aeneas's race, the Trojans, they're supposed to be pious and good and honest. So be sparing to our pious race. This is a direct object, spare our pious race, but in Latin it is in the dative. Be sparing to our pious race. And I like the alliteration here, parque pio. Et propius res aspice nostra. And one more imperative, and look at our stuff, our matters or our things. Propius, closer. It's the adverb here, closer. Prope, right, means near. So propius, more closely. Examine our case more closely. Hear us out, is what he's saying. Look at our case more closely. Now this is plural, of course, but we can translate res in a number of ways if we need to. So one more time, this last sentence here. We, miserable Trojans, carried by the winds along all the seas, beg you, pray to you. And this is what they pray. Beg. Prohibit the unspeakable fires from our boats. Be sparing to our pious race, our loyal to the gods and men race. And examine or look at our case more closely. Wale.